Democracy, the God that failed, the economics and politics of monarchy, democracy, and natural order, written by Hans-Hermann Hoppe and narrated by Paul Strickwerda. Chapter 10. On Conservatism and Libertarianism. Murray Rothbard has given the following portrait of the Modal Libertarian, ML. ML is indeed a he. The ML was in his 20s 20 years ago and is now in his 40s. That is neither as banal or as benign as it sounds, because it means that the movement has not really grown in 20 years. The ML is fairly bright and fairly well steeped in libertarian theory, but he knows nothing and cares less about history, culture, the context of reality or world affairs. His only reading or cultural knowledge is science fiction. The ML does not, unfortunately, hate the state because he sees it as the unique social instrument of organized aggression against person and property. Instead, the ML is an adolescent rebel against everyone around him. First against his parents, second against his family, third against his neighbors, and finally against society itself. He is especially opposed to institutions of social and cultural authority, in particular against the bourgeoisie from which he stemmed, against bourgeois norms and conventions, and against such institutions of social authority as churches. To the ML, then, the state is not a unique problem, it is only the most visible and odious of many hated bourgeois institutions. Hence the zest with which the ML sports the button, "Question authority," and hence, too, the fanatical hostility of the ML toward Christianity. I used to think that this militant atheism was merely a function of the Randianism out of which most modern libertarians emerged 2 decades ago. But atheism is not the key, for let someone in a libertarian gathering announce that he or she is a witch or a worshipper of crystal power or some other New Age hokum, and that person will be treated with great tolerance and respect. It is only Christians that are subject to abuse, and clearly the reason for the difference in treatment has nothing to do with atheism, but it has everything to do with rejecting and spurning bourgeois American culture. And any kind of cookie cultural cause will be encouraged in order to tweak the noses of the hated bourgeoisie. In point of fact, the original attraction of the ML to Randianism was part and parcel of his adolescent rebellion. What better way to rationalize and systematize rejection of one's parents, family and neighbors than to join a cult which denounces religion and which trumpets the absolute superiority of yourself and your cult leaders as contrasted to the robotic second-handers who supposedly people the bourgeois world. A cult, furthermore, which calls upon you to spurn your parents, family and bourgeois associates, and to cultivate the alleged greatness of your own individual ego, suitably guided, of course, by Randian leadership. The ML, if he has a real-world occupation, such as an accountant or lawyer, is generally a lawyer without a practice, and accountant without a job. The ML's modal occupation is computer programmer. Computers appeal indeed to the ML's scientific and theoretical bent, but they also appeal to his aggravated nomadism, to his need not to have a regular payroll or regular abode. The ML also has the 1,000-mile stare of the fanatic. He is apt to buttonhole you at the first opportunity and go on at great length about his own particular great discovery, about his mighty manuscript which is crying out for publication, if only it hadn't been suppressed by the powers that be.